Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. I had a little trouble deciding what to call this vlog. Either a Joe Biden hypocrisy alert or a Joe Biden failed presidency alert. Because, well, we know it's a failed presidency. This is the quickest indication of a fail or quickest to fail presidency that I can remember in my lifetime. He's only been in office a little over a month, and he's already a failed president. So God knows what's going to be happening as we go forward. We still have almost a whole 4 years to go. I guess we'll just have to all work together to contain the damage, except that the Democrats don't want to work with the Republicans to contain the damage because they don't want to even admit that there is any damage. Exhibit A, the failed immigration policies of Joe Biden. What was the logic behind opening our borders and just let anybody pour in? I guess, well, maybe it's hard to understand if you have dementia. So in fairness, he has dementia. Maybe it's hard to get this. But our other liberal friends, they really don't have this excuse. There are almost about 7 billion people in the world. I haven't looked it up to get the exact number. But the United States cannot hold 7 billion people. There is not enough room here for 7 billion people, let alone enough jobs for 7 billion people. But there seems to be, well, I guess the logic is just to create more Democratic voters, but that may be a problem too because a lot of minority voters increasingly are voting for the Republicans. One theory I heard today, which I think is valid, is that this defund the police movement. If you're a minority living in a minority neighborhood, you're hurt the most by these defund the police movements because that's where the crime is, unfortunately. And I heard some liberal saying the other day, either heard or read, some liberals saying the other day, well, why do we have police in all these minority areas, or why do we need them there? Why should we put them there, but not in the wealthy white areas, as if we need, well, I lived in New York for 40 years, and I can tell you, you don't need many police on the upper, well, you do now actually on the Upper East Side. I take that back. There has been an increase in crime because there are all sorts of income groups that are living on the Upper East Side. But on Park Avenue in the 50s, if you live along Central Park, if you live on Fifth Avenue, I don't see why you need a lot of police there. I really don't. I mean, the logic just escapes me. As what I was talking about yesterday or the day before, the logic escaped me there too. But that's not what today's vlog is about. I could be talking all day about the illogic of our friends on the left. But what I want to talk about is hypocrisy and a failed presidency. And I'm starting, as I was saying before I kind of got off the track, immigration, throwing open the borders as if that's some kind of benefit to the country, bringing in a lot of people who are unskilled laborers who have no, well, that's what Trump talked about, bringing in people on merit. If you are a country, just like a college, a good college, or a named company, if you are a desirable location, then you have everybody wanting to come to your location, then you can pick and choose whom you let in. And that is the idea, to get the best of the best. This is not the 19th century or the 18th century or even the beginning and middle of the 20th century when we would take just about anybody because there were all these manual labor jobs that needed to be filled and we needed people to fill them, and it didn't take much of an education to, well, I'll include my own father, okay, just to be fair and just to show I'm not discriminating. My father came to this country in 1948. He never finished high school. He grew up in the Ukraine. He had a very hard life, not going into that, but he came to this country and he got a job at the Ford factory, building cars, the Ford Rouge factory in Detroit, where I'm originally from. there was jobs there. They would take anybody. They needed people for those jobs. And I would also say, in fairness, that there are help wanted signs, so maybe I'm not 100% right, because I see signs in Home Depot and places like that for these lower paying service jobs to work. Well, the Burger King down the street is hiring, for example, those kind of jobs. But I still question whether we need so many people, and they're just being let into the country, and it's also killing these unlawful aliens. They are not undocumented immigrants, they are unlawful aliens. And here's a story of what I'm talking about. Here's the headline: at least, not total, at least 13 dead and several, including children, injured after Ford SUV with 25 immigrants, otherwise known as unlawful aliens, crammed inside, crashes into a gravel truck near the Mexican border in California. At least 13 people were killed Tuesday morning when an SUV stuffed with 25 suspected undocumented immigrants, or unlawful aliens, including children, collided with a semi-truck in Southern California. The dead include some Mexican citizens, officials said, who ranged in age between 20 and 55. The injured, meanwhile, are aged between 16 and 55. Earlier today, Chief Executive of El Centro Regional, Dr. Adolf Edwards, said he believed that all of the victims in the SUV were undocumented migrants or unlawful aliens. The claim is yet to be confirmed by authorities. 25 passengers were inside the Ford Expedition at the time of impact. The older model Ford should only fit 6 people, Watson said. So how did they get 25 people into this SUV that is supposed to only hold 6? I heard somebody discussing it on TV, a reporter reporting it. What these coyotes, these human traffickers did, they took all the seats out of the SUV, well, except for the driver's seat, of course, but they took out all the other seats and they just crammed 25 people, 25 unlawful aliens into that SUV, and now a bunch of them are dead. And why is that? It's because Joe Biden encouraged these unlawful aliens to come into the country. He said the 100-day moratorium on throwing people out of the country, and then maybe, well, there was an interview with an unlawful alien on the way in one of these caravans, and he said, well, Joe Biden says we just have to wait 100 days and we're all going to be let into the country. They are coming because of Joe Biden, and he has been, well, today he was asked about whether this is a catastrophe on the border. He just walked away, didn't even answer it. One of his officials, I forget which one, was asked yesterday or the day before, is this a catastrophe? And he said, no, it's a challenge, but it's not a catastrophe. But everybody can see that it is. Meanwhile, there was, well, here's another headline. Same thing, immigration. After Border Patrol release, asylum seekers, that is, unlawful aliens, test positive for COVID in Brownsville, Texas. And you're just going to have to bear with me when I keep saying unlawful aliens, because I am really sick of this substitution of euphemisms for what these people really are. They are aliens. They are not American citizens. They are not tourists here on a tourist visa. They are aliens who are in this country in violation of U.S. law. Well, meanwhile, who knows how many thousands of other aliens, lawful aliens, are waiting in line patiently to get into this country in conformance with U.S. law. I don't see, even if you want immigration, what is the problem with just letting legal immigrants in? There is a legal process to let legal immigrants in, but these Democrats are just, they're hell-bent on just letting everybody in, legal or not. And it's, and they found a breach. This van, this SUV, where 13 people, at least as of when I read the report, 13 unlawful aliens were killed who would be alive if Joe Biden had not encouraged them to try to get into this country. But no catastrophe here, right? Well, tell that to the families of these 13 who died. But this SUV, it came through a gap or a breach, a weak spot in the old wall, not the new wall where it exists that Trump built. In other words, they're searching out for the weaknesses and that's the other thing, Biden stopped the construction of the wall. He said it was useless. He said sensors would prevent this kind of tragedy that we just saw. But there was a camera photographed this SUV coming into the country. There were cameras there, and obviously it didn't stop. They did come in and they just melt with the traffic, and once they're in traffic, I guess the Border Patrol is just supposed to leave their posts and chase them all over the country, all over Texas, to find them. But to get back to the news story I was just citing, after Border Patrol release, asylum seekers test positive for COVID in Brownsville, Texas. 108 of these unlawful aliens, they got into the country illegally and there was no place to hold them, or for whatever reason they were ordered, the border authorities were ordered to release these unlawful aliens into the country, and 108 of them so far. Maybe there are more, who knows, because they were just released into the country, but these 108 were able to be tested and they were positive for coronavirus, for COVID. So you have the whole country, or big parts of the country, not the whole country as I'm going to discuss in a moment, but under lockdown because of COVID. We're trying to get the cases down, and fortunately they are starting to come down. And Joe Biden, our failed president, is letting more coronavirus positive, COVID positive people, unlawful aliens, into the country and just setting them loose in the public. Now, where the hypocrisy comes in is this headline: Governor Abbott lifts mask mandate, opens Texas 100%. That's the governor of Texas, if you didn't know, Governor Greg Abbott. Governor Greg Abbott today issued an executive order lifting the mask mandate in Texas and increasing capacity of all businesses and facilities in the state to 100%. Quote, with the medical advancements of vaccines and antibody therapeutic drugs, Texas now has the tools to protect Texans from the virus. We must now do more to restore livelihoods and normalcy for Texans by opening Texas 100%. So Texas is completely open. I'm pretty jealous. I'm in Tennessee. I hope our governor will get it and start opening things up. We are still at 25% capacity, I believe, in restaurants. It's just Barnes & Noble, the tables are closed up in the cafe. It's ridiculous. I'm really tired of it. I am really tired of it. I hope Tennessee will do what Texas did, but I'm digressing. I'm just complaining here. So enough about me and my problems in Tennessee. Texas, where the hypocrisy comes in Texas is Joe Biden, our failed president. He's in denial that what's happening on the border is a catastrophe, but he also criticized in very harsh terms Texas, said they were Neanderthals for not wearing masks anymore. But, well, first of all, the governor of Texas knows what he's doing, and also in Florida. Florida is opening up and things are going well. It's these states, these liberal states like California and New York, that they have the suffering economies, the unemployment, the crime, everything that comes from being locked down, the loss of livelihoods, the closing businesses. But in Texas, they're open 100%. And here you have Joe Biden criticizing, attacking Texas, the governor of Texas, for opening up 100% because the Texas coronavirus crisis seems to be ending and the cases are going down because of the potential increase or a relapse in coronavirus cases because of the unlawful coronavirus, unlawful aliens who Joe Biden is letting into the country and inviting more to try to get into the country. It just boggles the mind. It just boggles the mind. That's why I was a liberal when I was very young, but that's why I'm not. That's why I left the left a long, long time ago, because so much of what they do makes no sense. Something that you could do, though, that would make a lot of sense would be to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. Got any comments? Comment section below the video, where you can also ask questions, suggest future topics. You could subscribe. I love getting subscribers. You could visit my music channel. There's a link in the description. My original music that I create and perform all by myself. And what else is there to say except that I really appreciate the time you spend with me. I hope you'll spend more time with me, because I would love to see all of you again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.